Hello and welcome back to We Talk Boxing. So this is going to be a short video, just to give you guys my thoughts on the up and coming fight which is taking place in August the 26th this year between Oleksandr Usyk versus Daniel Dubois for the IBF, IBO, WBA and WBO heavyweight titles. Now this fight is going to be fought in Poland and it's going to be fought, for the, the undisputed titles, and it's a mandatory challenge defense, for Oleksandr Usyk, and he takes on the young pup, Daniel Dubois, who currently is 19 and 1, he's got that one loss on his record, which came back, in 2020 against Joe Joyce, which was a knockout, and he suffered that crazy injury, to his eye, which then he had to take a bit of time out to heal, to recover, before he could get back on his boxing journey. Since that loss, Daniel Dubois has, been undefeated. He's won 4 on the bounce. But he's come up, against some tricky opponents during those 4 fights. Particularly in his last fight, which I think was last year. It was against the small heavyweight in Kevin Lerena, where I think it was the first round he got put down a few. For his first or second round, Daniel Dubois got put down a few times, and he was quite lucky to, to be in that fight still, because the referee could have waved it off at any point. But it wasn't the case. Daniel Dubois obviously bit down on his gum shield and got through it somehow, to claim a TKO victory over Kevin Lerena, which, when looking back at it, you could say that he kind of learnt, from the Joe Joyce fight, because the Joe Joyce fight was the first fight for Daniel where he actually got hurt, and a lot of questions were asked. Where a lot of questions, from a lot of boxing experts were asking and saying, does Daniel Dubois have the heart, to when it gets going, to stick in there against, some of the best heavyweights in the world. And in my eyes, obviously, he was hurt in that Lerena fight, even though Lerena was a smaller heavyweight, and he bit down and showed people that he does have the heart and the grit to come over these banana slips, or whatever you want to kind of call it, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But he done well, and he, as I said, is currently 4 undefeated, since his loss, and he's doing well, and now he's the mandatory challenger. The mandatory challenger for the WBA belt. So again, he obviously takes on Usyk in Poland, which is not going to be, an easy feat to try and, dethrone the best or second best heavyweight boxer on the planet today. Oleksandr Usyk is undefeated as a professional himself. He's 20-0. He's only got 13 KOs to his name, but he was, the undisputed, champion at cruiserweight, before he stepped up to the heavyweight and fought against some of the heavyweight boys. But since he did step up, he's fought against some very good opposition. His first fight was in 2019 against Weatherspoon, where he didn't look brilliant. Do you know what I mean? But again, he won. He made the guy retired. Do you know what I mean? He won that fight, and then he come up against the Derek Chisora, which again was a bit of a conflict in performance. It wasn't a brilliant performance from Usyk, but he got through it. Do you know what I mean? Derek Chisora made it rough and ready and tough for him on the night, but obviously he managed to get through Derek Chisora and then fight against the biggest or second biggest name of them all at the time, which was Anthony Joshua, and he beat him for all his belts. Do you know what I mean? Then they had the rematch, and then he beat him again quite comprehensively. So, you know what I mean? Oleksandr Usyk is the fighter in this fight who has the credibility. He is the one that most people are going to be putting their money down and their houses down to say that he's going to beat a young pup, an inexperienced, and a person who has already lost in the boxing ring against Daniel Dubois. So most people will say that Usyk is going to be winning this fight, and most experts will probably only give Daniel, let's say, less than 20% chance of winning this fight. But I see it in a slightly different way. Do you know what I mean? I give Daniel Dubois a good chance of winning this fight. I'd probably give him a good 30 to 40% chance. Do you know what I mean? Probably 30% chance of winning this fight. And why I say that is styles make fights. Now, when Usyk fought, do you know what I mean, against Anthony Joshua had all, you know what I mean, the attributes to beat him. He had the size, he had the power, he had the reach. Do you know what I mean? He didn't have the skills, but he had all the physical aspects to beat an Usyk, but he just didn't use them. Whereas Daniel, you know what I mean, has the physical the attributes to potentially beat an Usyk. But one thing I think that Dubois got over Anthony Joshua that I feel as if it will come into play in this fight is that he can box a bit more. Do you know what I mean? He has got a good jab, a slow jab, but he has got a good jab. Do you know what I mean? But he's a bit stiff. You know what I mean? And he's similar to AJ, where AJ is a bit stiff upper body wise as well, not very much movement. It does get caught quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? So the attributes for the agility and all the footwork and the boxing skills and all that sort of stuff goes with Usyk on this fight. But I just feel that, you know what I mean, this will be a tougher fight for Usyk than the AJ fight. I'm not saying that Daniel's going to win, but I do give him a good chance of maybe causing an upset. You know what I mean, especially hurting an Usyk. I do feel Usyk will be hurt in this fight. We may even see him go down for the first time, realistically. I know he's been down as a cruiserweight, but as a heavyweight, we might actually see him go down. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this matchup. You know what I mean? I will be doing a pre-fight analysis video, you know what I mean, just going through their stats, etc. But, you know what I mean, I do give Dubois a good chance. You know what I mean, I'll probably say it's a 70-30 split for Usyk. You know what I mean, give 70% for Usyk, but most people would consider Usyk, this would be a fairly easy fight for Usyk. But I do feel we're gonna, you know what I mean, we're gonna see Usyk probably get hurt in this fight. Do you know what I mean? But it'll all depend. Has he got the heart to come back after that as well? Let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, please subscribe. Bless.